This is America in Space, a weekly news and information program on current events dealing with the space industry. From the Washington News Bureau, here is your host, Rick Potluck.
Welcome to another edition of America in Space. NASA has selected 4 new additions to its flight directors to oversee operations of the International Space Station. The newest inductees to the class of 2021 are Diane Daly, Chloe Mehring, Fiona Turrett, and Brandon Lloyd. They will work in the Mission Control Center of the Johnson Space Center in Houston. They will lead teams of flight engineers, controllers, and countless professionals, both agency-wide and internationally. In addition to the ISS, the new flight controllers will also be part of the lunar missions of NASA's Artemis program. With the addition of this new class, the role of the flight director has been held by only 101 individuals in NASA's history, led by Gene Kranz and the namesake of the Mission Control Center, Christopher C. Kraft. All 4 women have extensive experience with NASA going back to 2006. If all goes well, February 18th, the Mars 2020 Rover Perseverance will touch down on the Red Planet. Again, if everything goes according to schedule, at 3:55 p.m. Eastern Time, Perseverance will land in the Jezero crater. Matt Wallace, the Deputy Project Manager at JPL, gives a little overview of Mars 2020.
And Perseverance is different in many important ways. I wanted to touch on some of those for you to start this off. First of all, this is the biggest vehicle we've ever attempted to land on Mars. It weighs in at over a metric ton, and it is carrying 50% more science and technology payload than Curiosity, its closest relative, which landed in 2012. There are a number of new landing technologies on this vehicle, which Al Chen, my teammate here, will talk about shortly. But these technologies have been critical in allowing us to send this vehicle in the Jezero crater, a scientifically important location, but also a difficult place to land on Mars, and a site that was considered on previous missions but rejected. We can now get there with our technologies. We're carrying really an exquisitely complex and sophisticated set of new instruments to the surface of Mars for the first time. These are the instruments which our project scientist Ken Farley will tell you more about, but they're going to allow us to do the best job we can to understand that environment we land on and to pick the best samples, very limited number of samples that can come back on that Mars sample return mission, which Lori and Thomas talked about. Sampling and caching system is the hardware that we'll use to collect those samples. It's also extremely clean to ensure that we don't have any terrestrial contamination riding along with us when we collect those samples and we bring them back to the Earth.
Alan Chen, the Entry, Descent, and Landing lead at JPL, lets us know about the EDL and the onboard audio and video systems that Perseverance is carrying.
I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that entry, descent, and landing is the most critical and most dangerous part of the mission. Success is never assured, and that's especially true when we're trying to land the biggest, heaviest, and most complicated rover we've ever built to the most dangerous site we've ever attempted to land at. Landing on Mars is really all about finding a way to stop, and stop in a safe place. Perseverance first hits the atmosphere, going a little over 12,000 miles per hour, and streaks across the sky like a meteor, using that atmosphere to slow down. During that entry, it's got to survive the intense heating and deceleration of that period, while also using thrusters to steer toward the landing target to make sure we go to the right place. While coming down on the parachute, Perseverance needs to figure out where it is. To do that, it'll jettison the heat shield that protected us during entry, and it'll use a radar and a new system we call terrain relative navigation to help figure out where it is. But the parachute alone isn't enough to slow down Perseverance for landing. In fact, the spacecraft is still going more than 160 miles per hour when the parachute is done, slowing it down. So at an altitude of a little over a mile or so, Perseverance will fire up its engines, fly to a safe spot identified by that terrain relative navigation system, and slow down to about 1.5 miles per hour, right above it. And then it's ready for skycrane. Perseverance will lower itself, much like Curiosity did, from that rocket-powered jetpack descent stage, and maneuver in for a gentle touchdown right on its wheels, at a speed slower than I walk. And because of how long it takes for radio signals to get back from Mars all the way to Earth, Perseverance has to do this all on our own. We can't help it during this period. We have the system that's called the EL camera system, which includes a slew of cameras, as you'll see in the next picture, and a microphone. We've got cameras that are looking up at the parachute, so we'll see that supersonic parachute inflate. This will be really the first time we've ever seen that occur on another planet. We've got a Rover download camera that'll allow us to see the ground rushing up at us as we go hurtling toward the ground. Additionally, with that microphone system, we'll be able to hear what it's like and what it sounds like when we're coming through those 7 minutes of entry, descent, and landing. So the entry, descent, and landing team is really excited for the challenge that we have in the next few weeks, and we're really looking forward to bringing everyone for the ride.
So February 18th at 3:45 p.m., join David Denault, Don Meyer, and I for About Space Today's live coverage of this historic event. That's Thursday, February 18th at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time for live coverage of the Mars 2020 landing at Jezero Crater. Once again, that's February 18th at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Reporting from the Washington News Bureau, I'm Rick Potlock.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to share our program with your family and friends and follow us on Facebook. Join us each week for news and information on America in Space.